Hello and welcome everyone back to
Not Fighting.
We were just talking about how if the dog barks, these mics make it so that you can't hear the dog bark in the background, which is excellent.
Yay!
And I think it's funny because I know that because I record things for work all the time up here. And one of the things I think is funny is that it's both the dog bark and then the sister theme song.
Yeah, I'm like so happy that that's on Netflix. That's like my background music when TV when I'm cleaning and folding laundry.
It'd be even weird if you like listen to it to get amped for a tournament. It's like, what is Jena listening to? And it's like, sister. That would be like a really weird one. Actually, next time, if you decide to ever do another fight to win or something like that, you should come out to the sister theme song. That would be amazing.
That would be great.
But I don't know, kind of on the topic of competition, one thing that popped up this week that I thought was really interesting was that the IBJJF apparently, and this is like not confirmed.
we saw this today, and it's that they are gonna make heel hooks legal for no-gi,
which is crazy, right?
Free the heel hook.
Free the heel hook.
Make heel hooks legal again. What's my chant? I don't know.
Were they ever legal? Make them great again?
Make them no.
They were great.
I feel like heel hooks, no-gi for sure should be legal, and reaping just in general like should be fine.
You're cool with heaping?
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's cool. I should say that it's unconfirmed as of like us recording this. But it's like pretty widely reported that it's happening, but there has been no like official IBJJF announcement.
The reporting is like I didn't like I don't remember. Was it saying that like because I just saw that they announced that no-gi pans is going to be I didn't even look at the date, but they have a date for this year. So is it like this year or is it going to be next year?
So next year. So okay. For 2021, it's sort of what's being reported. Yeah. And one of the things that I think is really interesting about that is that I'd kind of gotten word through the grapevine. You know how things go into it. So it's like, oh, heel hooks can be legal next year. It's like,
you start hearing things, nobody can keep their mouth shut.
Yeah. So, Benny. One of the things I think is interesting about it is just that how long this took. Because how long have you heard people complaining about like, heel hooks aren't allowed in jiu-jitsu competition? And when they talk about that, they're talking about the IBJJF because it has so many roots and like, classic competition.
Yeah. Oh, there's a fruit fly. Okay.
I know. Gone. I was trying to get it a second ago, low key. If you're not watching this and you're just listening, you wouldn't have noticed. But now Jen has called it out. There is a fruit fly in the room.
Yes. But no, I think it's kind of crazy that they haven't that heel hooks have been illegal, like especially at the black belt level. Like if we're doing no-gi, most tournaments outside of IBJJF allow that, even for lower belts. And so for them to make it illegal for like even for the brown and black belts is kind of crazy to me because it's no more dangerous than any other like leg lock in reality. I think it's just this weird fear, and like I'm pro leg locks of all.
Isn't that a
leg
weird
locks
thing? It's like, yes. How did we get like left politics on leg locks?
I'm pro leg locks. I'm pro wrist locks.
Here's where we're different.
I'm pro all the things.
I'm so far on the leg lock side of the spectrum that I don't even believe in leg locks. Like, I don't believe they exist.
They don't exist.
You know what they are? It's like you can actually get somebody's heel so bad that you arm bar them and they believe that it's their knee, but it's actually not.
I feel like it's more of a hip lock than a knee bar or a leg lock.
That's what you would say. Right?
No, I think it's just kind of crazy.
You want to give everyone a leg lock. You think everybody in jiu-jitsu should just do leg locks.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to happen if you elect Jena Bishop as IBJJF commissioner. She will make all leg locks legal and will make it so that only leg locks are possible.
Vote for me.
You can't have Jena Bishop politics infiltrating the IBJJF.
It would never happen. Not from this gringa.
Vote for Bishop, the good one.
No, I think I'm really actually like excited about that because I always, training for like last year when I was training for ADCC, and I'm like, I started like wanting to like, dive into that game a lot more. And then I went from ADCC, and then the next no-gi competition was IBJJF, and I'm like, man, like I have to like stop doing that, like those things, and I don't know. I think it's just fun. I think it's weird to say like we shouldn't attack this part of the body because it's too dangerous. I'm like, you know how many ACLs I've seen blown from people playing De La Hiva wrong or stupid, or just somebody defending it weird.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about a sport where you're like, well, it's not safe, and it's like we're trying to choke each other unconscious.
No, the whole point is to catch somebody in a submission that like bends their joint in a way that it's not supposed to go, or choke them till they sleep.
And it's like, oh well, someone can't tap fast enough, or like, and I do understand
the
repercussions of it are so great, but it's like I mean, double leg takedowns are the hardest thing on my knees right now. It's like defending a double leg is like dangerous for my knees,
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times shooting is bad on my neck.
It's true. And the thing is my knees are so loose from all the jiu-jitsu.
I'd rather people not like do guillotines because I would rather like attack my legs, but leave my neck alone, man.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, my knees are loose. You can get me in a pretty tight heel hook, and there's a lot of give there. My neck, there's less give than there used to be.
Yeah, my neck, I just feel like that's something that just affects the way that you can't, like, if your neck is like jacked up or it's hurting from the day, like getting whatever happened or whatever, like you can't even think straight when it's like, because it's like in your head, like.
Yeah, so I think IBJJF should make chokes illegal.
Not chokes, just guillotines.
Like bar stance. I want to make all chokes illegal. Jena wants to make it so that only you can do leg locks, and those are your only choices.
Yep.
That's how I feel like American politics is. It's like no chokes or only leg locks. But wait, what if we just want like a reasonable amount of rules? No, not allowed.
This or that, and that is all.
You need to pick a side right now.
Decide.
Well, can't we just vote for a set of rules that like everyone would enjoy? No, not possible. It'll take away votes from one of the people that wants one of the extreme things. What's
hilarious is that you brought up like that's where it's not like American politics, because you don't get a choice. You don't get to vote on what the rules are going to be. There's no say. We don't even have like a governing body in jiu-jitsu. So it's just, whatever the people in charge of whatever tournament you're fighting like feel.
And that's one of the things
you get no say.
That's one of the things
nobody gets a say.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that drives me crazy about jiu-jitsu is like, no-gi and gi are getting, I feel like in a lot of ways further and further apart, but they're both grappling. Like the uniform shouldn't make that dramatic of a difference, that the moves and the techniques and like just the fundamentals are different. Mm-hmm. But what drives me crazy is like I keep seeing more and more tournaments and just like individual like exhibition cards and stuff like that like they just decide we're going to do our own rule set. Like whenever you find out about a super fight or something that somebody wants to do, what like the next questions are, what are the rules? How long are the matches? Like, and it's like, because you just can't assume, because it might just be something that
there's no set of rules. It's, I mean, the closest thing you have is IBJJF, and a lot of the people who are no-gi only people, they don't compete IBJJF tournaments because you can't do heel hooks and stuff. Like there's like a lot of things that are illegal, or the time constraints or whatever else. And so how
many tournaments where it's like, oh well, it's IBJJF rules except reaping's legal. And it's like, well, that's a fairly big difference. And then they're like, oh,
or except this or
and
that.
Then it's a 6-minute match. And you're like, well, that's different too.
That's very different.
Like how many different sports where it's like in an American,
like if you're gonna go to like a basketball, like a pickup babasketball game, like at the YMCA, you're in this league, and they're gonna be like, oh well, like we have like NBA rules, but like we're gonna like three-pointers are like actually 6 points now, or three-pointers
are 6 points, and it's 3-on-3. And like, well, it's kind of the same, but like
that's very different.
And I think that's like one of the things that drives me crazy about just the world of jiu-jitsu, where it's like no one can agree necessarily on what they think. Well, actually, people are really good about coming up with their opinions about what they think is like the best or most complete rule set. Yeah. But that's the problem, is it's like everybody thinks theirs is the best and like wants to implement whatever that is.
And I think, and I know I've said this before, but I think that if we want to talk about like what's the perfect rule set to make, because I think a lot of these other like pro events and tournaments like that are trying to like get cute with the rules, it's like they're doing it in hopes that it makes jiu-jitsu more exciting for the viewer, you know, for the spectator. So if we would have more like fans, but I am a jiu-jitsu athlete. I love jiu-jitsu. I don't care to watch jiu-jitsu.
No,
like it's boring. And that's fine, but you can change the rules all you want. People are going to learn how to game the rules because at the end of the day, and I'm never going to fault a competitor for this, except for if you're just like, don't fight. And that's super annoying. But
there's just blurted out a name, but
yes, I know you were thinking the same thing. We know, because I was like, I'm not going to fault a competitor, but then I was like, except for this person.
You know who you are? It's a girl.
But it's like I'm not going to fault somebody for like playing, like gaming the rules, like to win. You're fighting to win, so you find the way to fight within the rule set to, you know, make sure you win. And I think there's one thing of like where you're just not fighting, and when you're fighting not to lose, that's a recipe to lose at any, like in any rule set, because I think you're not really fighting. But if you develop your game where it's like you're not really like where you're just stalling and you're like fighting for these like little advantages and like playing like this weird thing, like that's going to happen because nobody's going to take huge risks for like, because the I guess the consequence for failing is like so steep.
And the thing is there's not enough money being paid out to athletes in jiu-jitsu to where there's any incentive financially where losing potentially is like a greater risk. Like the risk of losing is always greater than whatever amount of money.
Because it's more about like your honor, like you're like there's like, and that's like the I guess the stain that it leaves on your record of like losing a match is more important than the money that you could gain if you went harder and submitted. The incentive doesn't.
Like, there's not enough money, prize money, to where it's like you're willing to sacrifice your integrity, to fight differently.
Yes.
Now, if whatever amount of money they could pay you to incentivize you was like $100 million or whatever, it's like you probably would fight slightly different, maybe a little bit more aggressive, but you know, like it also puts you at risk to where it's like you can't win that $100 million because, you know, like you get too aggressive, you put yourself in a bad spot, you're never going to get another chance to attack. Yeah.
If you're behind, then for sure.
The fruit flies back, man. I don't know how I got it in here. You know, like even whenever I have bananas in the house, I'm like real careful with them now, you know?
Yep.
We've been burned bad by bananas before. You guys know how bananas be. Anyways, yeah, I think it's just weird though that like you have these rule sets where, you know, like heel hooks, for example, it's like, how did that get excluded to begin with? You know, like how are we doing like you think of jiu-jitsu?
I mean, but you think about jiu-jitsu and like when we first started, all leg locks were kind of taboo. It's like even a straight ankle lock, people are, I've heard people like complain about that, and I've had people with weird weird thoughts on a straight ankle lock, like blue belts and things like, or in white belts, and it's like, no, that's legal for you. And like, I didn't think we could, you know, I'm like, no, you can attack the leg, attack it all you want. Like, you know, don't give up a position. That's the thing. I think that it's like when you give up good position to attack, like, and maybe like wind up in a worse position, then, you know, that's a risk that you have to take. But I think it was such a taboo thing to do when we first started, is attack the legs.
And I think that's where you're seeing like a fork in the road as it relates to like just grappling, gi and no gi is like, you know, no gi largely has a different rule set than gi. I know IBJJF it's largely the same, but for, you know, the people that are really competitive no-gi, you're largely doing tournaments that are, in a lot of cases, submission only, ADCC, you know, modified rules, and heel hooks and stuff are legal, and there isn't that consequence of like, well, if I go for a leg and the guy just comes on top, I'm going to give up points.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think that is changing the way that people grapple. And then also in the same with IBJJF saying like, oh, well, you can't do heel hooks. It's like, you know, what form of grappling is ultimately going to reign supreme. And the truth is somebody that like actually is adept at both. And that leads me to my next question. How long till heel hooks are legal in the gi for an IBJJF quote unquote tournament?
I don't think they'll ever do that.
I mean, why is that so taboo?
I know, but I can't see it happening because that's like the worst thing that you can do is like heel hook somebody in the gi. Oh, how dare you?
I know, but that's the thing is like, I guess like, let's look at it objectively. So I understand the argument. The argument is that it's more dangerous and that like, you know, because of the pants, you can't really like escape the same way and you can get caught up in it. But I would argue that, you know, in the same way that the heel hook is not as dangerous as people make it out to be, like no gi, you know, like Bravo guillotine chokes and all that kind of stuff. Like they're way harder to do with the gi on because of the cloth and stuff. Heel hooks are similar, like in the same way, like no gi, you can't grab somebody's sleeve and prevent them from heel hooking you. You need both hands. And if somebody has one of your sleeves, it's going to be really, I mean, there's probably somebody out there's like, oh, I know how to do a one-handed heel hook. It's like, yeah, I know you do, but no one's finished them. Like no one good.
Yeah. Yeah, like you want your hands together and if you can hold the sleeve. So I think that maybe if heel hooks become legal no-gi for IBJJF tournaments, then maybe people will be a little bit more open to practicing those things and gain some perspective about like there's just this fear. It's like, why are we afraid of attacking the leg?
I know. Here's what it is. How long till somebody uses the lapel to heel hook somebody? Right? Keenan's going to ruin it for everybody. Keenan, you know where you're at. You know what you're doing. Stop it. You're going to get heel hooks banned in the gi, and they're already banned. We don't want our theoretical unbanning to get rebanned because you're worm heel hooking people. Cut it out. I think it's, but I do think that, you know, it is kind of silly.
I think we're years away from gi heel hooks being legal.
Maybe never,
but a long time.
But I just think, you know, we started with this martial art, and that's like another thing. It's like you have the martial art and the sport. And I think what's interesting is like, how often are you learning heel hooks in the gi? I'm sure there's people out there, again, they're like, oh, we teach heel hooks in the gi all the time. It's not common.
Yes.
It's not common. I learned it too when my instructor was a black belt in Sambo and a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. And guess what? The jiu-jitsu was garbage. But we learned over time. But
he got better. His jiu-jitsu is not garbage now.
It's really good now. But shout out to JW Wright. He's a good brown belt. He's a great instructor regardless. Either way, we were learning some like subpar jiu-jitsu for a little bit, but like all kinds of crazy Sambo stuff. And the truth is that like heel hooks in general like are not that dangerous, but in a martial arts setting, right? Like you would teach that, like potentially it's not the world's best self-defense move, but then you have the sport of jiu-jitsu. And I feel like those two things are like impacting each other in an irrational way.
The sport and like the martial art?
Yeah, like in jiu-jitsu, like with a gi on, like why wouldn't you teach somebody a heel hook outside of competition? Like why wouldn't you? If it's so dangerous, like why isn't it the best move?
Yeah. I mean, I think, if we're going to say like, I'm not going to teach the heel hook because like it's dangerous, and that like, if I'm just preventing, like if it's a purely self-defense basis, then we should teach it.
I heard somebody one time say like, well, we don't teach heel hook in the gi because if you do it in the street and you tear somebody's ACL, then like it's a legal concern. It's like if you break someone's arm, if you do anything other than choke them unconscious and be like, I don't know, he was sleeping when I found him.
But
like,
if you choke them,
a liability.
Even when you choke them unconscious, like it's a liability. Like all of those things are liability. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
If you say like, oh, like you put yourself on the bottom on ground where you're like more susceptible to getting attacked. Well, there's playing guard is trash.
Yeah, that's
from self-defense. Yeah, so it's like there's.
I mean, in the like old schoolist of old schoolists, like instructional stuff, there's like weird knee bars and straight ankle locks and stuff in there, and it's like, well, if the heel hook's so dangerous, it's like switch off that straight ankle lock and grab this like drunk dude in the heel hook, you know?
Yeah, but. I mean, let's say, like for a self-defense standpoint, like I think choking somebody is probably the best like option, no matter what, because you break somebody's arm, like they could still fight potentially. Like you hyperextend it, like we've all gotten our arm like jacked up and still kept fighting.
Is that way with pretty much, like you said, like pretty much everything is not a choke. And when you really think about it too, it's like, you think about a shoulder lock in the street or whatever. It's like, you're going to dislocate some dude's shoulder, like, and potentially, like, let's say the fight keeps going or whatever. It's like that, now you're in something really serious, And it's like, you tear somebody's ACL or whatever, it's like, now they're limping, but they don't know till later how bad it is.
Yeah.
You put somebody's shoulder out of socket, everybody around knows just how bad that is. And like, I don't know, that might not go well for you.
Why you say that?
I don't know. I'm just thinking like an intense situation where it's like, you take some dude's shoulder out and it's like, so stuff's going down. It's like, oh man, what happened? Why did this guy take that other dude's shoulder out?
I don't follow the severity of that.
I just feel like other people might jump in if they feel like the other guy's at a severe disadvantage.
Okay, I understand. Okay, that makes sense. I wasn't following. Sorry.
I've never had to use jiu-jitsu anywhere close to that capacity. Don't plan to.
Yeah, I actually had somebody message me the other day and ask me if I used my jiu-jitsu to like in a self-defense, like real life situation before. I haven't.
Not really, no.
Like I've never been in a fight. Like I've never had to be in a fight.
Yeah, I've like
because I'm so good with my words.
There's been
intimidating people. They just back down
into situations where I'm like prepared to grapple, but it's really, I don't know.
I mean, I've been in situations where I was prepared to grapple in heels, chasing a guy like down the street, and he was like, "Jenna, what are you doing?" Like he could have a knife or something, but I was like,
"We watched some guy."
Yeah, but he just like, what did he do to that man? That man is like, what? He's gonna get away.
Yeah, the cop found him under a bridge nearby. But either way, like that was scary because the dude was like, we were at a gas station, or we were coming up to a gas station, and there was a dude just laying down in front of his car, and there was another dude just kicking him in the face.
Yes, soccer kicks to the face, and the guy was just like, I think he was already out, like unconscious from it. Like he had no clue what had happened.
What had happened?
It was scary. It was intense.
That's one of the most like.
But I was ready to like just kick my heels off and chase him.
I know you were. I was worried about that. But that actually to this day is still one of the like most intense like violence that I've seen up front.
Yeah.
Just because honestly, when he was finished kicking that guy, I was like, that guy's not dead. He might not ever be the same because he was just unconscious getting kicked in the face.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu, self-defense, and also martial art, but also like kind of a hobby.
It's just a hobby. Like I think that's like something. I think a lot of times I like to remind myself that most people who are doing jiu-jitsu are hobbyists. Like not everybody's a competitor, and the people who choose, even a lot of people who compete in jiu-jitsu aren't competitors. They're doing it for fun. Like it's like, signing up for like a pickup league and like having games versus people,
to be a really good student jiu-jitsu, it's actually really hard to do without like competing at least once, because it pushes you to improve and focus on, more than just like, oh, I'm just having a good time. Like, no, you need to maybe be a little bit more serious about some of your improvements. Otherwise,
But if you don't really care about like that, like, and you're just chill with like having a good time and like get like rolling, like that's okay too. I think everybody has their own way with it, and I think that's something that you don't really see a lot in other martial arts and things like that. And maybe I'm wrong with this, but like I can't imagine that somebody just like wants to take like in jiu-jitsu you can have a lazy roll, you can have a very flowy like
we're talking about this week, like, this week.
Just training for fun. Your mind is like,
fun
whatever.
To just go and just train, move around, like have fun, like stay active, try to get the techniques. But, if you get some resistance, you kind of go with the flow. Not necessarily like just flow rolling, but just like, for fun. And
like you don't have to grind out every single position and move.
Yeah. And I think that, you don't necessarily see guys that are like, man, I got off work, I just need to go box some dudes. And it's like, some people, yes, but that's not like normally something.
They probably have brain damage.
And it's like not the common experience that most people have. Same thing with like judo. Like you don't want to ever be like,
like I watch like Olympic judo. Like I guess I've never watched a casual judo class.
Yeah, I guess that's
but so that's maybe on me. But like you watch Olympic judo, I'm like, that's rough. Like that's brutal, and just getting thrown like that, like it is murder on your body.
Yeah. And then also you think about something like wrestling. nobody's ever like, you know what? I just want to go wrestle a little bit. You know, just like relax, nice and easy, just some nice, easy wrestling.
Like flowy wrestling.
Where we try to pin each other.
No, there's nothing flowy about that.
And so sport. Like, you know, I think that that's one of the things that makes jiu-jitsu unique, where it's like, you know, there's competitive running, there's running for your health. You know, like you've got competitive running, which is like, you know, marathons and stuff. You've got like running for your health, which is like self-defense. And then you have like, you know what? I'm just running for fun.
Yeah.
To stay in shape, but also at the same time, like I'm just trying to clear my mind.
Yeah.
It's like a therapy for me.
Yeah.
And I think jiu-jitsu falls into that category where most martial arts don't. And that's what makes it unique, is that you can be practicing something that's very serious while at the same time, like doing something like that's fun.
Yeah, just having a good time, and like, yeah, it's very therapeutic, and you can just like kind of like shake the day off with your like jiu-jitsu, or like for the people who come in the mornings, like start your day
said
like
that with like such a degree of like judgment.
I just can never. Like 6 a.m.
like,
class? Are you kidding me? 6 a.m.? I guess if I had like a real job and I had to, I would, but
nothing but sinners and pedophiles in that mix.
I did not say that. It just seems absurd that people want to get up that early and start like rolling around. I told somebody the other day, I'm like, there's no way I could do that, because like every morning I wake up, I think it takes me like 2 hours just to feel like a normal person. Like I have to like, I don't know, just like do very, like even walking my dogs feels hard.
Yeah. I like to think that my spine needs at least an hour and a half to get ready. Like when I wake up, my spine's like, all right, cool, we'll be there in a little bit.
Yes, like get some movement. Like you have to do like warm-ups just to like
Tyler, isn't he like super flexible? Doesn't he play like inverted guard and stuff? And I'm like, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what happens.
I think that's a misconception too. People always think like inverted guard, or like people that are really flexible, like, oh, you must be really sore and pain. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Like I do that because of the soreness and the pain.
Yes.
That's why my body.
It's easier to do that than
my body's giving up
other
trying
things.
to stop that.
I
didn't used to be flexible.
You didn't. That's actually a true statement.
It is true.
When we started dating, he couldn't even touch his toes.
Yeah.
That's weird. And I think now you have your spine is more flexible than mine, I think.
Yeah, I've got a weirdly flexible spine. Yeah. I'm worried about what that means for like in the future. Like at some point it's just going to quit, and it's just like I'm going to be like, you know how like if they get those orcas and they put them in a cage and their fin just flops over.
I'm afraid that's your spine.
Oh, sir, you got a classic case of orca spine.
Orca spine.
We call it SeaWorld spine.
Aww.
SWS. I don't think they have any more orcas in SeaWorld. I think they made them get rid of it.
Yeah, I think they're done with those.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
I mean,
it's just stupid fish now. What? The orcas are smart. I think dolphins are smart too, and they still got lots.
Yeah, they
of
still have dolphins though.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Shout out to SeaWorld.
No. Don't shout them out.
No, shout them out like in the bad way. Like, shout out SeaWorld still committing those crimes.
Like, go watch Blackfish.
Yeah, I'm sure no one there has watched it. Can you imagine being a trainer and be like, oh, cool, this documentary is about us. Let's watch it. And then being like, oh, no.
Well, they all have been attacked by these things, so I think it's probably good.
Finally, someone's telling the people.
Finally, like they know. Make my job safer.
It's true. Yeah, I feel like Blackfish was like the tell-all of like the SeaWorld world of like what it means to be like a sea trainer, in the same way that this podcast is like a tell-all to people that were like, are heel hooks dangerous? And now you know. They're probably not. But like
they're just as dangerous as other things. A lot of other things in jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
kind of like how orcas are just as dangerous as sharks.
Yes. Wasn't there orcas like attacking sharks?
I feel like there should be
great whites.
Be like, this was not that shit. And sharks far more dangerous.
No, I don't think it's true.
No, I think orcas are super dangerous.
I think they were just like they just found some orcas that were like hunting people.
Yeah, there was one like in the English Channel or something where it's like they were attacking boats consistently and they don't know why. And secretly when I read that article, I was like, oh no. it starts. Like,
this is like
we just can't have boats anymore now.
We're not going to be able to be in the water anymore.
They're like, this one's ours. Ocean's ours. It's like we were too stubborn to learn. It's like some movie, fast forward 50 years, and it's like dystopian future, and people are just like,
it's like, we thought like Planet of the Apes was like going to be the thing, but it's actually like Planet of the Orcas.
Yeah, it's like that's before the orcas got here.
They're way smarter than apes.
We didn't know about those tanks they were building the whole time.
Underwater with no hands.
And then meanwhile, they come up on land, and then we're like, they don't even have heels. What were we wasting all of our time on the whole time? They're invincible. No arms, no heels. Their necks are slippery.
I feel like we're going off the rails here.
Oh, that's how you know we got to the end of this topic.
You're getting silly.
Deep. We went down deep into what we've heard, the rumors on the IBJJF rules. We talked about heel hooks. We talked about jiu-jitsu being both a sport and a hobby. And then we also dropped some serious knowledge on orcas.
Yeah, which is, I think, factual, but you know, go look for yourself.
Yeah, look into it. You're gonna want to look into it.
Also, while you're at it,
if you want to, terrifying.
It's also apparently octopus are really, really smart, but they don't live long, so they would probably take over the world if they lived longer.
So I'll leave you with that. Just while you were getting afraid of orcas, now be afraid of octopus too. I'm Tyler Bishop.
I'm Jena Bishop.
And this is Not Fighting. And we hope that if you like this podcast, you'll share it with your friends and that you'll subscribe to our channel and do all the things that, you hear other people talk about. But sincerely appreciate everyone listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.